Good morning, everybody. We're at Universal Studios again. We came by today to get a certain special package that'll be good for about 2 months. What could it be? We're going to guest services. This is gonna happen. Well, we did it, guys. We are officially going to Halloween Horror Nights. Yes. My wallet is actually crying so much, I need to get it like a handkerchief. Unbelievable. Yep. Let's take a minute, go over the different pass types that are available, and then we'll tell you what we got. All right, let's talk a little bit about Halloween Horror Nights 26 tickets. The first thing that you guys should know is that the event runs from September 16th through October 31st. Ticket types. There's add-on tickets, which basically means you already have park tickets for the event and you're adding on Halloween Horror Nights tickets. There's individual tickets, which basically means you do not have park tickets and you're only going to Halloween Horror Nights that night. There's frequent fear tickets, which are tickets that are valid for the event over a span of multiple dates. Those specific dates you can find on the Halloween Horror Nights website. And not to confuse everybody, but frequent fear actually breaks off into a couple of different categories, including rush of fear, frequent fear, and ultimate fear. Ultimate frequent fear. And we'll get that right. There's just too many different breakdowns, and we'll get into that in a moment. And then there are RIP tours, which basically is a VIP tour, but it's a rest in peace tour. That's a great package to have if you only have one night and you want to be guaranteed to be able to see everything. RIP is the way to go, first class luxury style. And then there is Express. We'll talk about that in a moment. What's going to drive your decision on what tickets to get? Basically, how often are you going to go? Are you going one night? Do you want to go 2 weeks? Do you want to go multiple nights? What can I afford? That's the biggest thing. Ticket prices, especially for multiple date tickets, greatly increased this year, year over year. Do I need Express? Let's talk about that in a little bit. When am I going? The prices for individual tickets vary depending on the day of the week that you're going, as well as the time of the year that you're going. You're going to need to check the Halloween Horror Nights website for the specific pricing for each of those dates. I cannot answer every individual question that I get about what it cost me more for this Friday so-and-so date versus this Wednesday so-and-so date. Please check the website for that information. What do I want to see? That's a great question, because folks that have not been to the event yet, let me explain. There are big lines to be able to get into each of these houses. So Halloween Horror Nights has 9 houses this year on the slate. Each of those houses will have at least, as we get into the night of the event, a wait time that's between 45 minutes usually to maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours to maybe 2 hours plus, depending on the actual house that you're looking for. So depending on what you want to see may actually drive the type of ticket that you want to be able to get. You may want to get a multi-date ticket to be able to ensure that you'll be able to see everything. Page. Pricing. Add-on tickets. And this is again just for one day. We're adding on a ticket. They range from $56 to $83. And it depends on what type of ticket you're getting. Individual tickets. If you're buying just a ticket for Halloween Horror Nights and you don't need a ticket for the actual park during the day, that runs about $105. I am then going to talk about prices for Express. They're located in red here on the sheet, if you can see. So if you had an individual ticket and you wanted to add on Express for a specific date, just for one date, it would range you another $80 to $140 on top of the $105. So a little bit pricey if you're buying it for one date. Now where things start to get cheaper is when you start breaking out how much it would cost for multi-date tickets. Rush of Fear, which is basically the first 3 weeks. So it's the first 3 weekends, basically every day that Halloween Horror Nights is open. It's $92 for that ticket. So it's already cheaper than buying an individual ticket just for that day. If you wanted express for those first 3 weeks, the ticket price altogether is $300. Frequent Fear, which is basically Sunday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Or you can buy Frequent Fear Plus, which includes Friday as well. Those tickets are about $103 a piece. There's about 19 dates that covers just for the Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday. If you were buying the one with the Friday included as well, that ticket price is $119. If you wanted those tickets with Express, it ranges between $320 to $400. It's a lot of money, but it's nothing compared to the next ticket up. The Ultimate Ticket. For years, I think fans of Halloween Horror Nights have said they should make one ticket that goes the entire event, kind of like a gold ticket or a gold card. They did that this year. They call it the Ultimate Ticket. The Ultimate Ticket for every single day runs $200, so $199 to be able to go every single day. If you want to add Express onto that package to be able to get Express for every single day of the event, it's $600 altogether. Now you gotta wonder, is that worth it to you? Are you going more than one time? Are you a local that can afford to go to the event more than one time? We know folks that are coming in from out of town for opening weekend that are going to multiple nights of the event. Instead of buying an individual ticket for 2 nights, which would end up being $210, they're buying a Rush of Fear ticket. And the Rush of Fear would cover the first 3 weeks, but they only need it for the first 3 nights. They actually end up still saving money. So, is Express needed? Let's talk about this for a second. There is no way to beat around the bush this year that Express is a small king's ransom. However, over prior years, we've always paid for Express. After I think the first year that we went. The first year that we went was a learning experience about just how long and painful it can be to be in those lines for houses for an hour, for 2 hours, for basically what it equates to a 5-minute experience or less when you're walking through some of these haunted houses. I would say generally, if there's a very good set of scare zones, there's a lot of time that you can spend in the scare zones as opposed to going in the houses, which offsets the amount of time that you might, if you're going multiple nights, that you'd be waiting in houses, and you could potentially take advantage of like Stay and Scream or things like that to try to be able to get into houses. If there are scare zones that are not necessarily things that you want to see, and you really want to see houses and you want to get into each house every night, Express is by far one of the only 2 ways that you'd be able to do that, either by going through Express or the RIP tour, which is basically kind of like a 1-night type of thing. They don't offer multiple night RIPs, but let's talk about Express here a little bit. Let's say the average wait time is an hour. Total amount of people that are going to the event that night. This may be non-Express this year, representative, and this may be Express. The Express people will be taken, let's say if there's a general line of folks and there's maybe 20 people queued up on Express, they'll take like 10 Express, then take the general line for about 2 minutes, 5 minutes, then they'll take the Express people again. The wait time for Express, average time usually about 15 minutes. Last year I think the wait time for Express got really high, and the reason being is that it was a very popular event and Express was priced very cheaply. Same as it has been in prior years, and I think folks learned that they could easily avoid lines by getting Express, and as a result Express blossomed up to where it was almost equal to non-Express, or maybe just a little bit lower. As a result, you weren't getting what you paid for as far as a premium. Universal realized this, I think, this year, adjusted the prices, made the price much higher, so that premium would really be something that it was a premium type of event or a gold card to be able to get in to the houses a little bit quicker. So charge more, less people buy it, more of a benefit for those that do buy it. So if you can swing Express, I would certainly think Express would be worth it. Again, Scare Zone and shows impact. So the event, you're basically being sucked into either spending time in houses, or folks have to realize this complete package for Halloween Horror Nights is houses, scare zones, and shows. If the shows are not particularly strong, you know, we always have Bill and Ted, everybody goes to see Bill and Ted, it's always packed every show. That's a way to suck in a lot of the crowd. Scare zones, last year the scare zones were unbelievable. People spent a lot of time in those scare zones and sucked up a lot of people. I don't necessarily think the scare zones this year, at least paper-wise, are as strong as they were last year. So secondarily, the other show is not based off of the icons. It's not a Jack show this year, so it's not sucking in the same crowd. We have a new type of show that's like a dance type show. If that doesn't suck in the crowd and the scare zones don't suck in the crowd, those crowds for total people for the houses is only going to go up, and the ratio is going to be the same, right? So you're going to have more people waiting in line, and this average wait time of like maybe an hour for a house is only going to continue to go further up if there's nothing to hold folks' interests outside of the houses. So if you can swing Express, I'd go Express. If you could swing RIP for a night, I would do that. Biggest question we always get is, what ticket should I get? I can't tell you the ticket that you should get. I can only give you that advice that we just went over. If you want to go multiple nights or you want to see everything, I would buy a multi-night ticket. You know, if you want to be able to avoid crowds and get in and out, I would buy Express. Biggest things that I can answer for folks. The event does get busier the further along that it goes. Opening night, always jam-packed. Second week, usually a lot quieter. And then it starts to build as we get closer to Halloween. So when folks always ask, you know, is it going to be busy that Thursday, the week and a half before Halloween? I can't tell you that exact date. I can only say as the time gets closer, the more busy it will get. So hopefully that helps. Now back to the video. Hey everybody, let's talk about Halloween Horror Nights. Last year we did a guide video that I think some folks really raved about. It's basically for newcomers or for folks that want some additional information about the event. Let's get into it. This year's event, Halloween Horror Nights 26, features 9 houses and so far 5 set scare zones. The event is chaperoned in by the icon Chance. Chance is a fan favorite from Halloween Horror Nights attendees in the past. Normally seen as Jack's sidekick, this year steps out of the shadows to lead the event herself. This year's event will feature a house for Chance in 3D. 3D! Chance's house will be called Lunatic's Playground. Now in addition to the house, Chance also gets a scare zone called the Chance in Hell. I'm not exactly sure where the scare zone will be relative to the house. Initially thought that it would connect to the house, kind of like going into the house or out of the house, so it'd be one big Chance experience. Not quite sure of that at this point. The other announced houses so far, Ghost Town, The Curse of the Lightning Gulch. Now this will be a ground up property, kind of seen as a requel or a revisit to the house that existed, I believe, in 2004. Another original property, Tomb of the Ancients, which previewed to be somewhat similar to like a mummy type experience. And then what would Halloween Horror Nights be without intellectual properties from movies and TV shows that we love to watch? We'll start with the most recently announced property, and that is Krampus. Krampus was a fan favorite film from last year, which featured toys that came to life, as well as an evil, like, demonic Santa deer type hybrid steeped in fairy tale lore. Should be really awesome to see them pull that off. Halloween makes a comeback at Halloween Horror Nights. This year we'll see Halloween 2, so it'll pick up all of the events from the time that we last saw Michael fall off the ledge outside the building when he was shot by Dr. Loomis, and it'll take you along the trip into the hospital and thereafter. The Universal creative team this year will bring to life one of my favorite horror movies of all time, certainly the most scary movie of all time, The Exorcist. One of my other favorite thrilling, scary movies of all time, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, will also join the lineup this year. The creative team at Universal has promised that this house will feature the entire family and run the gamut of the story for The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I cannot wait. Now, one of the most polarizing IPs for the last few years has been The Walking Dead. This year, The Walking Dead returns to Halloween Horror Nights. It is supposed to feature events that take place throughout all seasons that led up to their current fight with the wolves and Negan. And I believe this year, instead of only featuring walkers, we'll run into some other non-walker type characters. I don't believe that we'll see lead characters from the TV show, but we will see wolves at least, and some of the other characters within Negan's army. There is one last house that has not been announced yet, and I anticipate that it will be announced over the next 2 weeks. The rumor sites are saying that it may be American Horror Story. What that means for this event is that there's one house left. It's rumored to be the mega house of this year, basically the house that's going to take longer than any other houses. 2 years ago, that was The Walking Dead. Last year, it was Halloween Horror Nights 25, the anniversary house. This year, I believe it may be American Horror Story, if that is the property that ends up coming to life here. I do want to stress that nothing has been formally announced for American Horror Story. I am only repeating that from rumor sites that I've seen to date so far. As with any IP, things can change all the way up until the point that they're finalized. 5 scare zones were announced this past week. Survive or Die is a battle over clean air. I imagine it'll be very much in line with like what we would envision Mad Max or the Road Warrior to be, except not fighting for oil. This time we're fighting for air. Or I guess Waterworld, where they fight for clean water. Water, gas, oil, and now air. Survive or Die. Banshee's Lair, which I think is a little bit more traditional, kind of fairy or foresty type based scare zone. Dead Man's Wharf, which is kind of like a ghost fisherman type experience. Vamp 1955, which is essentially 1955 Greasers, but instead of Greasers, it's vampires. Coming to a homecoming dance, or homecoming parade, dance, parade, event. That sounds awesome. That actually sounds like the most fun scare zone that's going to happen this year. And of course the last scare zone again is a Chance in Hell. That's the scare zone that is tied to the icon Chance. In addition to these set scare zones, they have announced that roamers will be back. So I imagine we might see roaming chainsaw hordes again, maybe roaming clowns again. The clowns, without a doubt in our past videos, the biggest hit out of any of the zones last year. Chainsaws, always a huge hit here. And there will be 2 shows this year, as usual. Bill and Ted will be returning, although this year, the actor that has played Ted and that we have grown to love over the last few years will not be returning. I do anticipate, Mary is very upset while she's playing Pokemon. I do anticipate that the fill-in for Ted will be excellent, but we will miss the original actor, or the last actor that's played this for the last couple of years. In addition to Bill and Ted, the other show that will debut this year is the Academy of Villains. Academy of Villains is kind of like a song and dance troupe. They were featured on America's Got Talent. Should be bringing something unique to the event this year. In addition to the 9 houses that were announced this past week, an upcharge house was announced, where pass holders get the first crack at making reservations for this house, and then general public get to make reservations afterwards. I believe it'll be a virtual reality based house along with storyline driven pieces that take you through. That house will be called the Repository. It will not be an event that you can most likely walk up to the day of Halloween Horror Nights. You will want to check the Halloween Horror Nights website to make advanced reservations. My understanding is that there's about 4 or so people that can go at a time, and they're about 30-minute time slots. Okay, for those that have not come to Halloween Horror Nights before, Halloween Horror Nights typically employs sound stages, which are housed behind the music band shell, as well as pop-up tents or pop-up structures, for lack of a better saying, as well as the parade float house that's on the other side. Let's talk about where houses may be and what locations. So in the sound stages, when you initially come through into the park, through admission gates, it is believed that that will be where The Exorcist is located. Next to The Exorcist, which is right kind of to the side of where the band shell is, it's believed that that will be the TBD named house, which we speculate could possibly be American Horror Story. And then the 2 remaining soundstage houses, one that's kind of right behind Jimmy Fallon, and one that is in the corner over here. This would be The Walking Dead, and this would be Ghost Town. None of this is final, and it is subject to change when they make any announcements around the houses, but that's believed to be the lineup of the soundstage houses. Directly across from Despicable Me is the Shrek building. That is where Krampus will be located. usually for where Walking Dead is located, there would be an entrance to those sound stages over here somewhere. Due to construction with Jimmy Fallon this year, I believe the entrance will be shifted over into this area. The entrance to Ghost Town should be here as well. This is a very heavily trafficked area. Oh, Rip Ride Rocket. Let's talk about this store here for a minute outside of Macy's. This looks like a regular facade like we see in New York, where there may not be stuff that's located inside of this building, but there actually is space inside this building. Last year, Legendary Truth, which was an add-on for free event that took place during Halloween Horror Nights, a portion of it took place inside of this area. This year, we believe that there will be a store dedicated to Halloween Horror Nights located within this corner area. If you came to the event last year, you may remember that the store for Halloween Horror Nights 25 was located where Twister was. Due to construction in that area this year, it's believed that it'll occur in this location. This street typically houses one of the better scare zones for the year as well. Last year, this is where Psycho Scarapy was housed. Prior years, The Purge was here. It's very big. A lot of people come and go up and down this road, so this is one of the premier spots for a scare zone to be. This year, we believe that the scare zone here will be Survive or Die. Good old Finnegan's, as well as where the Blues Brothers perform. The reason why I want to point this area out to you is that when folks ask us about Stay and Scream, this street is typically one of the areas that Stay and Scream is used for. Let's talk about what Stay and Scream is. If you have a park ticket for the daytime park, and you have a ticket for Halloween Horror Nights, you are able to stay within certain zones called Stay and Scream. You basically need to get to the zone before the park closes, scan your tickets for the day, and then you don't need to exit the park and come back in the park for Halloween Horror Nights. Now keep in mind, Stay and Scream has not been formally announced for Halloween Horror Nights this year, but I'm speaking based off of experience in prior years. When you are in a Stay and Scream zone, it allows you the opportunity to get into certain houses before the public that's outside that comes in. And you basically have like a good half an hour jump start before the general population is also competing for those same houses. This is extremely valuable if you are not doing some type of express pass. This New York Stay and Scream zone allows you entrance typically to the two houses that are to the right, where we just showed you, which would be Ghost Town and probably The Walking Dead this year. We're gonna walk out of New York and head into San Francisco. One of the other set scare zones typically would be in the San Francisco area. I'm not sure if they'll have the scare zone in that area this year because of the construction around Fast and Furious. So there's a lot of talk online whether they would have the scare zone along that area or in this area here. And this would most likely be the Dead Man's Wharf scare zone that we're talking about. Last year, this area was used for roamers. This year, it may be a set scare zone. Pure speculation at this point. Although I will say it still makes sense for them to have the Wharf scare zone somewhere in this location, especially since this is kind of somewhat new. They kind of named the bathrooms the Wharfside Cannery. Let's talk about Harry Potter for a minute. Last year, Harry Potter Diagon Alley was open during Halloween Horror Nights. There's no scare actors or anything inside of Diagon Alley. In other Universal parks this year, they are going to have Death Eaters, which would be amazing for them to have here. Just not going to happen, at least this year. All right, we are coming up on Fear Factor Live. This is always a good sign for Halloween Horror Nights fans because they are postponing the show until after Halloween Horror Nights is over. Basically what they're doing inside here now is redesigning the set for Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure and rehearsing. By the way, this area back here is always super congested during Halloween Horror Nights, so it's going to be really interesting with Bill and Ted's there. And this year, the Chance House will be located in the extended queue for Men in Black. In prior years, they used kind of like a pop-up type house in the queue for Disaster, but since Disaster is gone for Fast and the Furious, they obviously can't use that space anymore. One interesting note, when we mentioned Stay and Scream before, typically if you did Stay and Scream that was in Diagon Alley, the access to the house that you would get first would typically be beyond this Men in Black, kind of in the corner. This year I'm thinking that if you do Stay and Scream in Diagon Alley, you may end up in Chance's house.
Again, speculation. Now the house that's in this corner that is to the right of this Men in Black gift shop should be the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm not sure which Stay and Scream area would let into this house. It still may be the Diagon Alley area, but that's where this house should be located. All right, this area in Springfield, outside of Duff Beer, with all the copyrighted music, this is also a Stay and Scream area sometimes. I'm not positive which houses this Stay and Scream zone would empty into, although I do believe it'll be the houses that are around the bend that we'll talk about in a moment. Okay, so as we head back outside of Animal Actors, right over by E.T., SpongeBob, etc., there's entrances to two houses over here. This should be the entrance to Halloween, and this should be the entrance to Tomb of the Ancients. These houses may either be accessed through Stay and Scream from Springfield, possibly, or as annual pass holders, for usually the first 2 weekends of the year, you are able to get Stay and Scream for pass holders only inside the Central Park area. So as we go through this throughway here with Central Park on the right, this is where Evil's Roots was last year, and I would anticipate that Banshee's Lair will probably be in this space this year. Again, just speculation at this point. We took a right to get into the Central Park area. In this area is where the annual pass holder Stay and Scream is, or otherwise known as annual pass holder early entry. They generally announce the early entry dates about 2 weeks or so before the event. If you're a pass holder, you would need to log into your account and secure a space online through a reservation system. And from prior times that we've done the annual pass holder early entry, I will tell you, it is extremely packed. Now at the end of Central Park and the scare zone area is this stage. This stage serves two purposes. It's up for Rock the Universe, and it's also up as the second show stage, which should be Academy of Villains. Once Rock the Universe is done this year, you should start seeing the stage adorned with other knickknacks for the Academy of Villains show. So a couple of last things here. This area in Hollywood, this is another one of their giant scare zones. I anticipate that this will be Vamp 1955. As mentioned before, it's kind of like a homecoming parade with greasers as vampires, or vampires as greasers. Sounds like a lot of fun. The last Stay and Scream zone that they've had over the past few years has been in this area, outside of the former I Love Lucy, and now Hello Kitty. This Stay and Scream zone, if they open it, will typically go to the first house on the list, which this year is rumored to be The Exorcist in that area. One thing I wanted to point out while we're in front of Hello Kitty, in Mary's face, is that this is not a children's event. We say this every year, and every year people say, well, if my kid is so-and-so age, can they go to the event? That is up to parental discretion. However, there is a lot of scary things. It may not be scary to some, and some things may be scary to others. If it were me, I would not bring a younger kid here. Depending on what type of movies or TV shows you allow your children to see. If you are looking for kid-friendly events for Halloween, I would suggest going to SeaWorld for their Boot-tacular, I think it's called. I would also recommend Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. Hey, we are inside the Monsters Cafe where they do the Scare Actor Dining. We did the Scare Actor Dining last year. It's an upcharge to your Halloween Horror Nights ticket. It involves a buffet dinner as well as roaming characters that come around to each table. There's usually like 4 or 5 different characters, or 3 to 5 characters, let's say that. In addition to, like last year, they had one of the icons that was available at a photo station, so your meal ticket included the buffet, the roaming characters, unlimited beverages of soft drinks. I don't believe beer was included last year, and I don't think it is this year either.
I'm not too sure.
Also, tons of desserts included as well. There's not a rush for you to get up and finish eating other than trying to get into the event itself. And it was an unlimited buffet. The photo piece that's included in the ticket includes a free digital download through Photo Connect, the Universal Studios photo program. So you can get on your phone or on your computer. And I thought it was a great deal last year. Very similar to Disney character dinings, except Halloween Horror Nights. Scary. Alright, that about does it for a Halloween Horror Nights guide for 2016 HHN26. I'm sure that we'll be doing many videos when additional information is announced, and as we encounter the event. We're hoping to get out to employee preview perhaps, as well as getting to the event many times over the course of its run. So if there's specific questions that you want addressed
Maybe we'll do a Q&A video about Halloween Horror Nights at another time. But hopefully we covered everything that everyone's looking for. So on that note, thank you for all of your likes. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your subscriptions. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Have a great night. We'll see you guys.
Subscribe to the cheap seats, or she'll get you. Subscribe to the cheap seats, or he's gonna kill me. Subscribe to the cheap seats, otherwise he'll be looking in your dreams for you.